Hello everyone, this is Professor Kent. Today's lecture is on Module 13. Module 13 is making adjustments. Adjustments are made if we make a mistake with an invoice or we got the wrong invoice. Or we could get the wrong product. So adjustments are done in an adjustment batch. Adjustment batch is an accounts payable module, accounts payable transaction on the left hand side. You could do one entry or we could do a batch. If you're doing a one entry, then it will be done in an adjustment entry, but what we're doing is we're doing it in a batch because we have 3 adjustments to make. So double click on the adjustment. We're going to do a new, and under here is going to be an adjustment batch, and it is for the month of February. So this is what we're going to do. February 2023. So that's what who the first entry is. This is which vendor we are doing it to. In this case it is to the West Metal Products, and we are making an adjustment to an invoice, which is your invoice number Z5553529. So that's the invoice we're making it. Which vendor is it? It's a vendor that we have to pick it up. In this case is 2020, and then the reference is your invoice number Z55529. Document will be, we're going to look for the invoice that, if you look at the invoice, we're making an adjustment. So this is the invoice that we're making an adjustment to. So that's the number that we are making an adjustment to. So in this case, we're going to select it. When you select it, in other words, you could also for your entry description, you could also put it in a more making an adjustment. You can also call it an adjustment. In this case, your document balance is 8691, but the balance that we want is the balance we want is 96. So we're out by $1,000. So we want 9691. That's the balance that we want. In other words, when you're doing it, we needed to tell the computer to make that adjustment. So that's what we wanted to do, is we wanted to tell so we're making an adjustment. In this case, we are going to go to our distribution code, and our code is manufacturing equipment. That was the original invoice was. So we're going to tab it over, and what we're going to do is we are going to make an adjustment for 1,000. So that's your first adjustment, is for 1,000, means the document total was 8,691 and 23. We are making an adjustment for 1,000. Then when you're going to the next line, we needed to make an adjustment for our next account, that is your GST account, that we needed to make an adjustment. So in this case, it's a GST account sits under your our liability. We're going to select it, and that is 45%. In this case, we are going to make it $50. So that's your adjustment. So our adjustment is for 1,050. So that's our first adjustment is for 1,050. So now again, the optional field, you make it blank. In this case, if you have to kind of select, you have to accept it. So in order to accept it, you could go to the optional field, or you could just select it there. Once you have done your first entry, you're going to add it, and once you add it, now you're going to go to your next one. So the next one, you are going to go to the next entry. So we're going to be doing 3 entries in the adjustment batch. So the next one, we're going to make it our second entry. Our second entry for in this case, the vendor is Nigel International. Nigel International, invoice 248766 824. So that's the one. So in other words, which is the vendor, we're going to pick up the vendor. It says Nigel Nigel Corporation. The invoice number is your that you're adjusting it is your 248766824. And then you're going to go to your document number. You're going to click on that. That's what you want this adjustment to apply to. So in this case, you're going to apply to that adjustment. We're going to go to our distribution code. In this case, if it doesn't let you do it, you're going to do it your insert button. You're going to go to your insert button. So in order for us to do that, insert. So what you're going to do is you're going to enter your distribution code, and that is the same for the manufacturing, and this is equipment. If you tab it over, it's the account. So we are making an adjustment for $300. So that's the adjustment we're making. We could be making a debit entry or a credit entry. In this case, we charge too much the amount where we're going to do the adjustment to, and it will be for this one, it is for the credit account that you're making the adjustment to. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an adjustment to the credit account. So in this case, the credit is for $300. Now you will know from the invoice, are we doing a debit memo or a credit memo? Are you doing a positive entry or a negative entry? You will know from the question that is given to you. So in this case, we're making an adjustment to the credit, and then that will be your we're gonna add it, because what you're gonna do is it's automatically going to adjust to your accounts payable. So we're going to add it, and then we're going to go to the next one. That's your third one. The third one, we're making an adjustment to your Office Depot account. So in this case, where adjustment is done to the Office Depot account. So in this case, that's the vendor. The invoice number that we're adjusting is invoice number 8577. Who is the vendor? The vendor is your the office. We're going to select it, and then the reference number is your invoice number. So your invoice number is 8577. Your document is what we're applying to is this one. So that's what we were applying to. Now when we go to here, you could also say we are making an adjustment for the reference. So invoice, under the invoice, you could also say that you're making a adjustment to this invoice. I didn't spell invoice right. Okay, so then if it doesn't go to the in the main page, if you are unable to enter anything in here, that means you have to do the insert button to do that. Now we're going to click. In this case, we're charging it to Office 100. So in this case, we are going to look for your Office 100. You're going to select it. Automatically you're going to come with the number. In this case, we're doing it to the credit, and the credit amount is your 395 credit 395.44, and we split that. It was a 50-50 split. We're going to go to the next. See if it doesn't go, you have to do insert button, and in this case we are going to pick the 200 Office 200, select it, and then you're going to tab it to select the second one. It was a 50-50 split, and then we charge it wrong. So from one, we're taking it at one account and we're putting it into the other account. So we're increasing one expense and we're decreasing the other one. So 395. It could be that we made a mistake. We charge 100% to the 100. Now we're taking it out from there and putting it back in here. So in this case, what you're going to do is, if you look at it, our total amount is 750 in here. So if I go back here, what we did is our and credits are equal here. So what we're going to do is we are going to click on your add. But before we could do it, we could click on the zoom button right beside here. It gives you that there's number of entries for this one. There's entries is you have a debit entry, credit entry, counts as a 2. So this is the page 13.1 exercise in the middle. That's what it is. This is what is showing. So what we're gonna do is now we are gonna do the gonna add it. So once we added it, what we wanted to do is we're gonna close it. Now what we needed to do is, this is the batch we wanted to do is, so you have to print the batch, print the batch and check for accuracy, post the batch, and then print the journal. So I'm just gonna do it. I'm just going to print this. So that again, before you print it, I'm going to close it. Before I get to it, I needed to make it a preview because I wanted to do a PDF of it. So let's do that. I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to print that batch, and we did 3 transactions. So I'm just going to say printed, and it's going to create a PDF. Once it's created a PDF, you know that it's just taking time. These are the 3 transactions we did. So if you look at it now, we have a credit and a debit. So every entry you do, you are going to make sure that your debit and credit are balanced, so before you post it. So that's what you have to do. What we're going to do is we're going to make it ready. I'm just going to do it here and I'm going to post it. So this is the batch is posted. So now I have done it in the post. In the GL is saying one batch is posted. We're going to close it and we're going to close it. So this adjustment batch is done. Now if you were to do that, we posted the batch. Now what we have is we could view the batch in the GL too. So how you're going to do view your balance in the GL, you have to double click it. It's under the transaction, under the batch list. You will see it. That whatever you do in the subledger, it automatically comes into the this one. If I were to show you this, if it's here, so all the transactions that we did, they are here. There's 3 transactions that we did, they are all here. So in this case, they are all here. I'll close that. So they are all here. Now if I wanted to see the adjustment for the adjustments we did, you could also do. What you could do is you can check the activity that we did. So in this case, how do we check it? On the left side, you have to click on AP vendors, then you go to the vendor activity, and you have to look for which vendor you wanted the activity to. So let's look at the first one that we did. It was, I think it was the West Metal, and we made an adjustment. So we're going to look at it, we're going to select it. Now if we wanted to know, in this case, this is the outstanding balance in that account, the last invoice was that, but I wanted to know, you could look at it here, the aging of it. You could also look at the transaction. So I wanted to look at the transaction. If you look at the transaction, the last one we did, so I wanted to show you this one. In this case, we have the original invoice was 8,691. We did an adjustment and we applied that adjustment, and now our balance is 9741.23. I'm going to close it, or you could do it the next one. If you look at it at the on your book, on the 13.2, the next one we did was the Nigel. We're going to look at the Nigel International. We're going to select it. If I do it that, it's going to show you which entry. In other words, we did this entry. We're going to go to the in this case, we are going to look for the transaction. So in this case, that's the current balance. If you look at it, we did the adjustment. That's the original invoice. We did an adjustment for $300. Our balance is $2,200. Same thing, you could look at it for the Office Depot. We did an adjustment for that. In that case, there shouldn't be any change. All we did is in and out. In other words, we did a transaction in and out for the invoice number 8577. So I'm going to go to double click it, and then what we're going to do is, in this case, it will tell you under the invoice we did an adjustment. If you look at it, applied amount is 0. The reason why is applied amount is 0 is that we did an adjustment, but the adjustment has no impact on the my invoice, because it was an internal thing. We charge it to the wrong account. We shall charge it to the 200 instead of the 100, and that's it for adjustment batch. Thank you for listening, and then watch for my other recording for the payment journals that we are going to show you how to do payment journal in the AP in module 14. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, send me a message underneath the videos. If you have, or you can email it to me if you're in my class. Thank you again. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like it or to give me a comment if anything you need help with. Take care. Bye for now.